If you missed out on tonight's highlights, let's get you caught up with some scores and more.
I'll tell you what, it's been an interesting evening to say the least, because we got a setup for a battle of unbeatens with both Gila Ridge and Cibola coming through with lopsided victories in their own respect. Brandon, you were obviously at Yuma High. You saw it go down. Give us a quick perspective from your end.
It's just the offensive machine that Gila Ridge is capable of producing each week, watching them last week, now this week. It's consistent. Their game plan is there. I mean, you got C.J. Wiggins and Jaheim Jones-Wilson that are definitely part of that offensive powerhouse. And you mentioned Cibola now, going to face them next week. We got ourselves one to watch.
That's going to be fun. Yuma Catholic remains dominant. Watch out for them. They're a contender for the state title. And Antelope, you know, they had a tough loss. Keep in mind, they've only had 2 weeks to prepare, and their opponent already played 2 weeks before tonight.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives you a disadvantage in that regard. So our hearts go out to the Rams. Hopefully they can bounce back next week. All right, it's now time for Brando and myself to give our special recognition to the players, position groups, or even teams that stood out tonight. Obviously, Brando, we know who your helmet prop's going to.
Yes, indeed we do, Rob. After a long thought process on this, I got to give it to number 4 of Gila Ridge. That's Jacob Aceto. If we could get that back up real quick, because like I said, I mean, he really showed why defense wins championships, and if Gila Ridge is on this run for that, he could be the reason why they make a difference. He had 2 interceptions during this game. One that is, in my book, it's a pick six. There was a flag on it. However, I mean, he was able to bring in that one-handed catch. He was able to stop the Yuma Criminals on a red zone run. I mean, they were marching down the field. He was able to stop that offensive run and keep them to the 6 points that it was. So definitely my helmet prop tonight.
As for me, Brando, I talked a lot about YC's defense last week. Now it's the offense's turn. In specific, sophomore quarterback Richard Stallworth. I mean, he had himself an epic night, racking up close to 500 yards passing and 7 touchdown passes. I mean, I had to give it to him. I had to do it.
The stats speak for themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here's our first look at our week number 3 lineup of FNL. We have a trio of contests, all headlined by the all-time classic Yuma rivalry, the marquee matchup between the Kings and the Criminals. We, of course, invite you to join Rob and myself next week. Of course, we look forward to seeing you then.
We finish tonight's show with our Jack in the Box play of the week. This one comes from tonight's marquee matchup game. Can you guess which one this is? Jacob Aceto makes himself a defensive legend tonight, stabbing one right with a one-handed pick at the expense of J. Noah Medell.
Ooh, look at that. Take a picture of it, folks. Just beautiful play. Unfortunately, the flag brought it back, but that is our play of the week, and that is week 2 of FNL. Thanks for joining us, folks.